Okay, these are all the supplies that we're going to use. I have them all listed in the description below along with the pattern. Okay, we're going to get started. I've already cut all my pattern pieces out for the shoes. Just going to fold that over, and we are going to glue the toe part, the little curled up part first, just to make sure that our shoes stay lined up. Then we're going to come back in and we're going to take the Dollar Tree shoe. We're going to put some glue down the very, very back, and we're going to glue the back of that into there, and just make sure that you've got that pulled straight. That curled up edge does go to the front. Then go ahead and glue all the way around on both sides. And then we're going to pinch the two centers together and we're going to glue right there. And then we're going to finish out the little curled up area and go ahead and glue that down. Then we're going to go to the top part of the shoe and we are going to glue up just a little bit of the way, almost up to like where the toe of the shoe starts. And we're going to leave a little bit of gap in there so we can go ahead and start adding some filling. I'm just going to take some filling and fill it up as much as you can without busting it open. And try to curl it up into the curled up area so that those do stand up. Once you get that all done, we're going to go ahead and glue that in. And we're just going to glue into where the opening of the shoe is. And then we're going to glue inside the shoe and we're just going to tuck that all down inside. And then we're going to take some furry yarn, and we're going to go ahead and glue that around, and we're just going to go one time around on that. And you can use this yarn for all kinds of trim. It works out really well, and it doesn't shed. Okay, and then just glue that down in the back. And then we're going to add a little bell, a little 3/8 inch bell to the very front, just on the top part of the toe. Okay, and then do the other one just like it. And then we're going to come back in and we're going to add some weights. And I'm using the pine wood derby weights. I'm just cutting them into squares. And I'm going to put them in the front part of the shoe just to give some added weight to it. So we have a good weight distribution when we get everything put together. And then I'm going to glue a piece of felt to the bottom of it. And I made these shoes with felt, with red felt. And I got that at Joann's. Okay, then we're going to come back in and we're going to put a little piece of trim around the edge just to trim out that. And that's felt as well. And then just build the other shoe exactly like that. And you can use fleece or felt or anything you want to put on these shoes. I just liked the color of the red, and that's why I chose the felt. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and build the legs. We're going to take 2 dowel rods and we are going to measure them at 5 inches each. And then we are going to cut them with a miter cutter. And then one of my subscribers gave me a really good tip. We're going to sharpen these with a pencil sharpener and they will go up into the noodle super easy. Okay, just make sure that they're even and then sharpen them. Okay, and then we're going to go ahead and put our corks on them. We're going to put 2 corks on each one on the blunt end. Okay, and then we're going to take a knife and we are going to shave the bottom off a little bit, about 1/2 inch up, because when I put all that felt into that shoe, it made it pretty tight. So you will have to shave that off to get that into that shoe. And you don't have to shave a lot, just a little bit. Once you get a point on it, it'll go in there pretty easy. Then we're going to come in here and we're going to measure 1 inch up from the bottom on both of those, and that's where we're not going to add fabric, because if you go all the way down with your fabric, we won't be able to get those in the shoes. We're going to hem these up on 2 sides, and we're going to put the legs circular or horizontal striping around the leg. And then we're going to take it and go down on the non-finished end and glue that in and leave that 1 inch opening on the bottom. And then go ahead and glue that all the way around and then seal it up. And then do the same thing with the other one. Then we're going to come in here, we're going to take some slits and put some slits in it so that we can attach it to the noodle. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and attach it to our shoes. Go ahead and pull those back because we're going to need to be flush with the noodle. And then we're going to put them into our shoes and add some glue to hold them in. Just push them on in there. Make sure that your back seam is in the back. And I kind of had to push on them a little bit to get them to go all the way down in there. But just make sure they're the same length or the same height when you get done. And just push that on up into the bottom there. And before you glue that in, you might want to make sure that that thing stands up good. And then we're going to just glue those tabs right down to the noodle. Okay, then we're going to take a circle and we're going to come in the middle. We're going to just put it right through his legs. And we're going to cut an opening of that so that we can just kind of finish out that area. And it took me a couple of times to get it cut open right, because I couldn't get it. I couldn't figure out exactly how far apart for the legs, but you may have to do this in a couple of steps. Just want to leave another opening where it just goes around the legs. I think I got it at 1 inch by 1 inch is what I end up with. And then just push that down till it's solid on the bottom and glue that in on both front part and the back part. It just finishes up nice. You're not going to see it anyway unless somebody were to pick it up. Then we're going to go ahead and we're going to build his body. We're going to take the fabric. We are going to fold it on the short side over. And that's a 6.5 by 9.25 inch piece of felt. Just fold that over, glue that on top of there, and we're going to fold that over and glue it down. We're just making a tube. Okay, and then the pattern that I have there, I have that in the description below. We're going to start with the V right in the middle of the seam. And then pin that all the way around, and then you're going to start cutting those triangles out so it has a jagged edge on his jacket. But just make sure you start with the center triangle opening on the front. And this is what it's going to look like. Okay, then we're going to go ahead and we're going to attach it to the noodle. Go ahead and pull it on down there and then attach it to the top. You're going to pull it down where you don't, below where you don't see the bottom of the noodle. And then glue that on over, and then we're going to go ahead and build his hat. We're going to take our fabric. It's a 10.25 by 11 inch. We're going to come up 2 inches, and then we're going to come down to the point and start diagonaling it down till you get to that 2 inch mark. Then we're going to pin it just to make sure it doesn't move, and then we're going to go ahead and cut that off. Then we're going to come to the bottom, and we are going to curve it just up about a 1/2 inch, and then we're going to clean that up. Just go around there. We're just going to curve it out there a little bit. And if you don't get it exactly right, don't worry, because we are going to cover it with the little zigzag part, and you won't even see it. So go ahead and glue on down one side. Just take your time. I was having to glue a little bit slower today because our heat was off and it was cold in here and it was drying faster than I could get it put together. Go ahead and take your pliers and go ahead and turn it right side out and push that little tip through. Just be careful not to poke through. Okay, then I cut 2 of those, one in red and one in green. I'm going to put the red on top of the green, and I'm just going to glue them together. So take a little bit of time on this so you make sure that you get it completely straight. And I'm leaving the very tip part open up a little bit because we're going to come back and put some bells on there. And you need that to be open so you can kind of squeeze that around the bell. Okay, then we're going to go ahead and add 3/8 inch bells to it. Just open those up and squeeze that around it. And you're going to do the same thing for all 6 points. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and build his arms. We're going to go take a noodle and we're going to cut them at 3 inches. Now that's not exactly 3 inches on that. I made an arm and then cut it. So I'm telling you right now ahead of time that that is going to be a 3-inch arm. We're going to come down and we're going to do a seam on one side, but we're not going to do a seam at the end because we're going to cover it up with some yarn. And then we're going to take our ball and we're going to go ahead and glue it to our noodle, and then we're going to roll it up into our fabric from the raw edge, and just make it where it just overlaps a little bit, on the ball overlaps the fabric just a little bit. And then just roll that on up in there and glue it down. And then we're going to put a little bit of glue at the top just to kind of push it in there and finish it out. And then we're going to come back in with some trim, the same trim that we used around the bottom of the shoe, or the top of the shoes. We're going to put down at the bottom of the sleeve. So just wrap it around there one time, cut it off, and then glue that in. And then it was a little bit thick for me. You may not think so when you get yours done. I'm not sure what trim you're going to use if you don't use that, but I came back in after I got that glued in, and I just kind of trimmed it up a little bit. Okay, you're going to do the same thing with the other arm. And then I just came in and with my scissors and just kind of gently went around it a little bit just to kind of trim it out a little bit. Okay, do the other arm the same way, and then we're going to attach them. I'm just going to hold them up there, and then I'm going to take a pin and mark exactly where I want them to go. And we're going to glue them straight to the body. Just make sure that your seam is facing the body. You don't want your seam to show. And just really only need to do just the top part, because you can bend his arm if you don't glue it all the way down. Just about halfway on both of them. Okay, then we're going to cut his beard. We're doing a 2" by 2". I'm just taking my ruler, marking it 2 inches across, then 2 inches down, and then I'm just going to come back in and I'm just going to do a U all the way around, down to that mark, and all the way up the other side, and then clean all that off. Then we're going to come back down about 1 inch from the top edge of the body, and that's where we're going to put our beard. Just glue it right on there. Okay, next we're going to do his hat. I just took 2 pipe cleaners. I twirled them together at the end and bent them over so they had a blunt tip, and I glued them into the noodle. Then I'm going to take some stuffing, about that much, stuff it up in there, and then I'm going to pull it forward while I push it over the top of the gnome's head. And then we're going to go ahead and pull it on down, over the arms, and over the top part of the beard. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and show you. I'm going to make some elf ears. I'm just taking 2 3/4 inch balls. I'm just rolling them out. I'm just going to cut them at a diagonal on that one, and then pretty much straight down on this other one. Kind of looks like a piece of pie. Then I'm pushing in one side, and that's what's going to go towards his head as I'm pulling up on the tip. Just push it down, and that's what's going to hook into his body. And then pull the ear on up, and you can make these as big as you want to. I just made mine actually a little bit big, so just kind of shape it. And then I'm taking the round end of this and putting little dots on it just to kind of make it some shape, and then just do the other one just like it. Then make sure they're exactly alike. Then I came back in before I baked them, and I stuck a piece of wire in them, because that's what I'm going to attach them to the body with. So just go ahead and make sure you get your wire in there good before you bake them. Okay, bake them 250 degrees for 15 minutes. Now we're going to put them on. We're going to go ahead and glue the arms, the hat down to the arms, and we're going to glue the hat down to the back. But don't glue the front yet, because we haven't put his nose in yet. Just get it good and glued in the back and the sides. And then we're going to go ahead and attach our little jingle bells. Just make sure that they're centered in the center and go all the way around. Now you're going to have to pull them a little bit tight in the back. And then what I did is I went ahead and glued the front, and then I took some needle and thread and I sewed the back together, because you do want to bring it up tight. You do not want it coming apart. And these are made just for this size of hat that I made. If you make a bigger hat or you want to do something a little bit different, just enlarge the pattern a little bit. Just going to take them in the back. I'm going to pull them together, and I'm just going to sew those two together. Just a few little stitches. And that will pull it tight. Okay, then we're going to go ahead and attach the hat, the little jingle bells to the hat. Just go around on each little tab, glue it to the hat itself. And then we're going to attach the nose. Just take a dollop of glue on the front, lift it back, the hat back a little bit, and put that in there. Okay, next we're going to go ahead and attach a little button to his jacket. And then I skipped the part where I put a belt on him. I'll show you here in a second. I put a 1/4 inch by 8 3/4 inch belt on him with a little glitter foam for the buckle. Okay, then we're going to go ahead and add a 3/4 inch jingle bell to the top of his hat. And then we're going to go ahead and bend his hat over. And then we're going to attach his ears. We're just going to take an X-Acto knife and just poke a hole in the side there and attach the ear. You just want the base part to go against his body, and that's the flat part that we did earlier. Okay, just make sure that they're exactly where you want them. Then we're going to pull them back out and we're going to glue them in. Okay, so just take it out and we're just going to put a little bit of glue inside the hole, and then along the top edge of the ear, and push that on back in there. And then we're going to do the same thing for the opposite side. Okay, pretty easy. If you like the video, hit like. If you want to see future videos, hit subscribe. And if you want to be notified when I have another video, hit the bell. Thanks for watching. I really appreciate it.